Hey, it's Jang here from UltimateRC.com with a look at the Exceed RC Madfire. Now, this is a 1/8 scale buggy, and it's available either ready to run or almost ready to run. I got this as a ready-to-run version for $300, brushless EP from nitrorcx.com. Let's take a couple minutes to look at the features under the hood. First off, for the price of this vehicle, the shocks are amazing. They are all aluminum. They have threaded bodies on the outside. They are big bore, a little bit under-dampened with the stock oil, but you can fix that easily. Very, very smooth. Now, the motor that this one comes with is a 36 by 65 millimeter sensor-less brushless motor. It is in 2150 kV, essentially a 550 sized motor. And as you can see, you can't fit a longer motor can in there. There's just not enough room. This very sturdy heatsink motor mount is also only for 36 millimeter diameter motors. You adjust your gear mesh from underneath. You can see it just has these 4 large screws, nitro style. Look at this chassis. It is absolutely beautiful. Everything's countersunk and has a great finish to it. Moving back up topside, it does include 2 batteries in the ready-to-run version. No extra charge. Now, these are not batteries that are worth really writing home about. 3300's 20C rating, but I will spoil it in advance for you. These batteries are plenty for this car. The ESC is a Hobbywing 80 amp unit. This is a well-known ESC, very durable, very reliable. Check out the little pockets that are machined into the chassis to lighten it out. Very nice extra little feature there. The car also has anodized solid aluminum chassis braces front and rear. The shock towers are also solid aluminum front and rear. You've got very beefy adjustable turnbuckles and links, those same great shocks, just in a longer length at the rear, and a big adjustable wing. Tires, as is pretty common with low-end RTRs, they're pretty cheap. The actual tread design is pretty decent. It's kind of emulating the Proline Crime Fighters, but the compound of this rubber is very hard and you're just not going to get a lot of good traction out of this, and that's too bad. And finally, I want to point out that it does have sway bars, both front and rear. The rear ones do feel like they do their job pretty well. However, the fronts do not. The geometry of the front bars is just self-defeating. Now, this does have a 2.4 gigahertz radio system in it, and the controller looks like either a clone of or an OEM version of the FlySky FSGT2. It's a very basic system with analog trims and reversing, and it also has dual rates. Now, the Madfire does not pretend to be a high-end racing buggy, but I was actually pleasantly surprised by how well it handled on the local track. At the time of this test, the 8th scale track was closed, so I was just bombing around the 1/10th scale track like everybody else. Things got power. The motor is definitely on the small side for 8th scale buggies, and those LiPo batteries, like I mentioned before, they're really not that great, but altogether, the entire package is a pretty high-performing vehicle. It has a ton of torque, and after fully running down those batteries, the motor was just kind of warm, not even hot. The suspension and differential tuning definitely needed some help, but it wasn't terrible. It was definitely something that I could just adjust my driving style to. Things I did not like started with the tires. Indeed, like I expected, they do not hook up very well. On a hard-packed, dry surface like this, you definitely skate around a good deal. And another thing that didn't help was the servo. It's very, very slow and laggy. There's a very noticeable delay between when you give it some control input and when it actually begins to turn. Same thing at the end of a turn. When you want to square up, sometimes it's a little bit squirrely. You know you're doing the right thing, it's just taking its sweet time catching up. All in all, though, keeping in mind that it was $300 ready to run with LiPo batteries, I was still more than satisfied with the performance and the overall value. There's just one more thing that I need to show. You've gotta be bleeping kidding me! Those weren't even big jumps. Check out this footage of me crash testing my associated RC8E, the old, cheap, ready-to-run version that's even discontinued now. 8th scale buggies are supposed to be able to take stuff like this in stride. They're 8th scale buggies. They're not open wheel Formula 1 or Indy cars. So I showed you what happened in my second and third durability test with the Madfire. Check out what happened in the first one. My very first jump. I didn't even cartwheel. I just landed a little bit short and nose down. Just destroyed the front end. The plastic looks and feels like super compressed charcoal. I'm not even kidding. It's actually sharp and brittle. You can write with it. Nice design, nice features, terrible materials. Completely ruins the whole thing. Exceed RC Madfire? Forget about it. End of story.